You want me to put that on my todger?
Coronation Special. What Will She Do? Part 6. Hello, I'm HG Tudor, continuing my insightful series about examining what Harry's wife may well do in relation to try and upstage King Charles's coronation, because she will. Her narcissism demands it. She is going to do something, but what will it be? Well, I'm giving you the various options, taking you through the most likely manipulations that she will utilize, both in terms of telling you more about the manipulation itself, and then also specifically how it relates to how she might behave. Another manipulation that she may well use is that of smearing. Smearing is essentially the indirect assertion of control. As you know, the narcissist must achieve control, and this is often done directly. We're standing opposite to you, and therefore we interact with you, either benignly or malignly, to get that control off you. We might come and see you, a direct interaction. We might ring you up, send you a text message, wrap a note around a brick and throw it through your window. Either way, all of these are direct manipulations that are utilised, whether benign or malign, for the purpose of asserting control over you, drawing fuel from you, and potentially laying our hands on character traits and residual benefits. Our narcissism takes us to the first assertion of control above anything else because of the benefits that can occur from the direct approach. Not only does it enable us to get control, which is paramount, but it provides access to prime aims 2, 3, and 4. And in a way, it's double bubble, it's bonus time. So the narcissism has been designed or evolved, if you will, to cause us to look to interfacing with you first of all, because that way we get the control that we crave, but it also gives us access to a plethora of other advantages and benefits. There are occasions, however, where we can't hoover you, we can't deal with you direct. This is because you perhaps have imposed a no-contact regime. It might be too difficult for us to attempt to hoover you. Or our narcissism has decided that the last time we tried to hoover you, because of the failure and the wounding that occurred, it's simply not a good idea to try again. So we don't. But matters cannot rest there. We cannot just do nothing. We have to do something to get that all-important control. And therefore the narcissism moves from the direct assertion of control or hoovering to the next one, which is indirect. Now, indirect could be triangulation. So, for instance, we talk about you to somebody else in a favourable way. Quick example, you should meet my new girlfriend. She's absolutely amazing, wonderful human being. Oh, great, good for you, mate. You're a lucky man. That affirms that the narcissist has made a good selection, receives fuel from his friend, and gives an indirect sense of control over the girlfriend of whom he speaks. That triangulation, of course, can also occur in a malign way, through smearing. So the narcissist, for example, rings his girlfriend, she doesn't answer, that causes minor wounding, she's not under control, he can't get that control because she's not answering the phone, so he turns to his friend and he says, "Do you know what, I've just tried to call my girlfriend 3 times and she's not answering the phone, she's probably fucking doing her nails or something." And the friend responds with, "Oh, that's women for you, isn't it? Too busy with their cosmetics, etc." The friend's agreement that you, the girlfriend, are preoccupied and self-absorbed validates the narcissist's view and thus gives him a subconscious sense of control over you, whilst, of course, the friend remains under control. Smearing is done intermittently and repeatedly so that it has a cumulative effect, which is a collateral consequence of causing people to turn against you. Indeed, when you're being devalued, you're often being smeared, but you don't realise that it's happening. And so what happens is that the disgruntled narcissist complains about you to friends and family. You don't realise this is happening. He isn't able to assert control over you directly, so he moves to doing so indirectly. And each time he does this, because of each threat of control that you precipitate, it results in the narcissist moaning about you, in effect, smearing you to those other people. And it happens again and again and again. So it creates a picture in the minds of those individuals that you are a problem, that perhaps you're the abuser. So that when the balloon goes up and the relationship ends, and you perhaps go and approach the narcissist's family to say, I don't know what's going on, but he's been treating me really badly, they've been exposed to months of the narcissist telling them that you're the problem. And therefore you find yourself being met with some form of silence or a lack of belief. In effect, the narcissist has got in first. Now, the unaware narcissist hasn't planned this. It is a happy collateral consequence of the smearing of you that has taken place. But this is what you're up against. And of course, this is a problem for Harry, for instance, whereby Harry's wife will have smeared him to other people, causing them to form a view that he's not the jolly chap that he was once portrayed to be. But in this instance of the coronation, Harry's wife is likely to assert control indirectly over the royal family by engaging in some smearing. She's done this before, of course, with the Oprah bombshell interview, where she turned up with a revision of history, telling of lies, and was smearing against the royal family. Is there a possibility that she might try and get on a television programme, perhaps on the day of the coronation, being seen as some kind of special correspondent for CNN? It's a possibility. And in so doing, she would be there giving her own views about things and basically cocking a snook at the royal family, critical of the Princess of Wales and so forth. Therefore, a real-time smearing. If she doesn't go as far as that, what she may well then do is organise for some form of interviews to be done either on television or through the press, where she smears the royal family utilising this. I wasn't invited when she actually was, but once again they've demonstrated their racist colonial credentials by excluding me. Harry felt he had no choice but to go, because after all it's his father, and hey, I'm not going to stand in the way of that. But I was very upset that they didn't invite me. A load of porky pies, a revision of history, and a considerable smearing of the royal family. That she will always find some idiot sympathisers that will go along with that view, whether it's Shouty Shola, Gail King, or a gaggle of shuggers. And the fact is that people agreeing with her that she's been badly mistreated, despite she's telling a lie, will give her that indirect sense of control. Accordingly, smearing is possibly a route that they will go along. And of course, this is something whereby the people that she smears to ends up not believing the protestations of the innocent party. She has a problem in that regard, because her lies are so repeated and widespread that there are fewer and fewer people who believe them. But a narcissist is always going to be able to find some sympathetic party to whom they can smear other individuals. And there is a possibility that she will go down the route of that of which I've just described. Do you agree? Do you think she'll engage in some smearing? When do you think she'll do it? Weeks beforehand or on the day itself? Will she do it live in person, or will she leave it to her lieutenants? And how do you think she will smear? Do you think she will just cast aspersions on them generally, or do you think it will be specific along the lines of what I've suggested? Let me know in the comments section. And now you can also understand more about this situation by listening to me talking about the impact of smearing on people. They will not believe you. All narcissists engage in smearing. Whether lesser, mid-range, greater or ultra, smearing will occur. Smearing is part of the second assertion of control, indirect, whereby you have done something to threaten the narcissist's control, and rather than assert control over you directly, the narcissist engages in smearing. Understand that where this is done by the lesser or mid-range narcissist, they believe that their behaviour is entirely justified because you have done something to cause it. With the greater or ultra, this is a more calculated response whereby, ahead of taking certain action, the greater or the ultra starts to turn the tide of public opinion against you, so that when you try and fight back against it, it is too late. And as the scenario that I shall describe to you shortly, that evidences a situation whereby a combination of the use of the facade and smearing, has resulted in a hopeless situation for you as the victim. Not all narcissists operate facades. Mid-range and greater do, and the nature of that facade differs. You are triangulated with the facade. So where there is a situation which has been created so that they will not believe you, you will be coming up against either both smearing and triangulation, or just smearing. Lesser narcissists don't operate facades. Therefore, you will be not triangulated with that. Instead, they will smear you as an instinctive response to your threats to that control. And what can happen is that you aren't aware of the smearing taking place. So there'll be instances where you don't realise that you have threatened the narcissist's control, and the narcissist has gone and said something about you to a family member, a friend, and there is this steady drip, drip, drip. Understand in those circumstances, the lesser is not deliberately cultivating an image of you of being some kind of nut job, crazy person, harpy, bully, but instead, each time there is an instance where you threaten the narcissist's control, the narcissism has to assert control over you. Invariably, it will look to do so through the first direct assertion of control, but sometimes that will not happen. And instead, the narcissism shifts to the second indirect assertion of control. That might be triangulation, it might be smearing, and it often is smearing. So, through the course of your relationship, each time you threaten the narcissist's control, and you could do this scores of times in the course of a day without actually realizing you're doing it, more often than not, the narcissist will assert control against you directly. But alongside this, there will be repeated occasions where your threat to the narcissist's control results in the narcissist smearing you, but you don't get to hear about it. The narcissist complains to his mother about your behaviour, or to his father, to his brother, to friends, to colleagues, to neighbours, to your friends. Sometimes it's reported back to you, but often it isn't, and this starts to create an impression of who you are in the eyes of those other individuals. So that, at a later juncture, perhaps when you have been disengaged from or when you escape, and you try and tell all of these people about the horrible behaviour that you have been subjected to, you get nowhere. Why? Because there has been this drip, drip, drip smearing of you throughout the relationship, so that when you try and expose the narcissist, you come slam into this smearing, and it fails. Remember, where the lesser has engaged in this, it has not been a calculated act to create this impression of you. It has been built up as the relationship has gone along as a response to you threatening the narcissist's control in some way. Where you're dealing with a mid-range narcissist, again, it is not a calculated step. Once again, through your ongoing interaction in the relationship, you will repeatedly threaten the narcissist's control through wounding or challenge fuel. If you want to understand more about those interactions, go to the Knowledge Vault and obtain the must-read 3 interactions with the narcissist. Very important material to aid your understanding of narcissism. So, 2 of those 3 interactions result in you threatening the control of the narcissist, which means, through one of the 3 assertions of control, the narcissist may well respond by directly asserting control against you. That might be a word salad, a circular conversation, insult, provocation, physical violence. Sometimes, because of the variance of the dynamic, the narcissist will shift to the second assertion of control, which is indirect. And in those circumstances, what happens is, again, the narcissist will triangulate or smear because they're mid-range, and you'll be triangulated with the facade. So the narcissist will be talking about all of the things that they do for you, and of course they will be behaving in a pleasant manner towards these other appliances, and also complaining about you. And therefore you get the double whammy of the triangulation with the facade and the smearing. And each time that the narcissism selects to utilize the second indirect assertion of control, every single time you have threatened the narcissist's control, this again starts to build up a picture in the background with friends, family, colleagues, neighbours that you probably don't know about, so that at that later juncture, when you escape, or more likely you have been disengaged from, and you try to go to these people and say, he's been abusing me, she has been abusing me, you suddenly find that your pleas and claims fall on deaf ears, because we have already ensured that these people believe us and not you. Remember, still with the mid-range narcissist, this is not a purposeful, calculated step. It is an instinctive response to your threat to control. So in January, February, March, April, May, all through those months, you threaten the narcissist's control. The narcissist will assert control over you directly, but will also do so indirectly, and also through withdrawal. And by the indirect ones, if that's happening several times through all of those months, by the time when you get to June or July, and you've been disengaged from, a picture has already been created. The narcissist did not sit there in January and think, okay, I'm going to get rid of her in July. What I'm now going to do is sit down and tell everybody what a crazy nutjob harpy she is, so that when I get rid of her in 6 months' time, everybody will be on my side. The mid-range narcissist doesn't work like that. The lesser narcissist doesn't work like that. The greater or the ultra will work like that. And that's where it is calculated. That is where the narcissist is thinking ahead. It may not be as many months as that, but it will be thinking ahead to disengaging from you. And therefore, the narcissist that is greater or ultra will, in an aware fashion, by calculated methods, start to sow the seeds of your downfall by explaining to people about your behaviours. And it will be done in a subtle, insidious way. So to recap, the lesser, no facade, but will smear you, and it will be done on an ongoing, intermittent basis, which culminates in you basically being dunked into a mud bath at a later stage, when you try and then expose the narcissist's behaviour to all of the people you have been smeared to. With mid-range, again on an ongoing basis that is instinctive and not calculated, the mid-range narcissist will triangulate you with their facade as they repeatedly build up their image of being a good and kind and decent person with all of these third parties in the fuel matrix, and at the same time, or alongside that, they will be smearing you, again on an instinctive, ongoing, intermittent basis. The greater and the ultra, they will plan ahead to determine that you are going to be gotten rid of, and will start the smearing and emphasize the facade to those people in the fuel matrix in order to capitalize on it as at the point of your disengagement. And therefore, the following description encapsulates any of those three routes, whether it's the lesser, the mid-range, or the greater, who has created a position of the facade, where mid-range or greater, or smearing with all three, and it is at this point where you are saying to the narcissist, I'm going to expose your behaviour to everybody, I'm going to tell them what you have done to me, I'm going to explain to them that you're not this good person that you hold yourself out to be, I'm going to demonstrate that you're cruel and abusive. And then this is in effect what is the response of the narcissist. They will not believe you. Go on then. Tell them all what has happened to you. Go on, here, take my phone and ring my parents, my family and my friends. Ring my colleagues too. Telephone the golf club, in fact. Why don't you take an advertisement in a local... No, make it a national newspaper and tell everybody about how badly you have been treated. Climb on the roof and shout it to the neighbourhood. Tell everyone who calls at our door and bellow it to strangers as they walk past. Do it. Go on. Tell them about it. Announce it. Broadcast it. Transmit it. Send it out by mail, email, message and radio signal. Have it blaring from the radio, repeatedly playing on television. Hell, I will even let you strap a message to a flock of pigeons, and you can let them deliver the news that way. Scrawl how badly you have been treated by me on a piece of paper, and wrap it around a brick, and hurl it through the window at the police station. Scream it long and loud until you are hoarse. Go on, tell them all. Tell my parents about their successful son, who has studied hard, achieved brilliant results, and now excels at work, about what it is I actually do. Why don't you gather all my friends around here and announce to them what a bastard I am? I'm sure they'll be intrigued to listen to you saying that about their loyal and dependable friend, who always makes time for them, and has helped them out in repeated ways through his largesse and influence. Pop next door and bang on their front door. Explain to them with your wild eyes and even wilder hair what has really been happening. After all, I only ever show them friendship and politeness, don't I? I don't think they have heard me shouting at you. You see, I wait until they are away before I raise my voice. But I know that they've heard you ranting and bawling at me. Go to the local shopping parade and mention to the pleasant lady at the bakery what I really get up to behind closed doors. I'm sure she will love to hear you tell her all about the charming man who was her best customer and has arranged for her to supply the restaurant of two of my best friends. Call my brother and give him chapter and verse. Oh, you can't, because he won't answer the phone to you anymore, will he? I know. Head down to the gym and see if you can interest any of the regulars with an hysterical rant about the chap who they all say hello to and works out quietly and regularly. Type out a memo for my colleagues and circulate it to them. I'm sure they will be interested to read all about their boss who holds the keys to their futures. Declare it to the group that I attend football with. They will all want to know all about what I do, won't they? What's that? These are all my people. At last, you see, you have recognised the truth of the matter in between your vile outbursts and hateful comments. I know then, ring up your sister and see what she has to say. Mind you, I dare say you won't want to give her the satisfaction after the way she came on to me, would you? Tell your friends all about it. Oh, wait, they're now my friends. And all they have ever seen is how happy I have made you. The gifts, the trips, the presents, and the love. What about the vicar? He will listen to you, I'm sure. It is what he does after all, although what will he make of such slander against a regular attendee at his sermons and the generous charity donor? Well, that remains to be seen. Do it. Grab a loudspeaker, create a banner, haul a message behind an aeroplane, and write it in the sand on the beach. Do it in this frenzied manner with words spilling from your twisted mouth, a word salad which makes no sense. I'm sure the staccato way you spit out your accusations will be well received. Make sure they look deep into your crazy eyes when you are talking to them. I want them to see who they are really dealing with. Tell your father, will you? He's put up with this for years and was glad to see you leave home. He told me himself. He knows what a drama queen you are. And as for your mother, well, she hates confrontation. And she adores me, because she knows just how much I have done for you, because I made it my business to tell her. Go on, beat your tiny fists about that facade that I have created. See if you can punch some holes in it, although I know you will not be able to. Shout and stamp and holler all you like. I will enjoy watching you do that as I assert control over you, and there will be no favourable outcome for you. You are the crazy one, and you are trying to unseat the stable, rational, dependable, and ultimately far more likeable me. But you keep trying. It allows me to assert control over you. It allows me to point to your hysterical behaviour and say, see what I have to put up with. And it all provides me with fuel as your bloodied hands slap against the facade with no effect, and your voice becomes no more than a rasp. I will watch as the hope fades in your eyes, to be replaced by fear and incomprehension. Keep trying, though. Keep going, and reinforce what I have already indoctrinated them to believe. They believe me. They won't believe you.